Good morning, world. Welcome to another episode of Cedric and Brian. Like we did a few weeks ago when we gave you our top 11 movies, this time we're going to give you our top 11 Netflix shows since everybody is sequestered in their houses and having to sit around and do a whole lot of nothing but watch TV. We figured we would give you our top 11, and if you haven't seen any, maybe you could give it a try. Right, Cedric?
Exactly. Like we did before, if you haven't seen our top movies section, I have 5 series, Brian has 5 series, and then we had one that we both liked just as equally well, so we're going to add that as our 11th pick. But you guys are going to enjoy this. If you guys have a Netflix show that you like, make sure first you like, subscribe, ring the bell, and leave it in the YouTube comment sections about which Netflix series you're watching right now to get through this time of quarantine. But let's get into it. I'm Cedric.
And I'm Brian, and this is Cedric and Brian.
You got a B on your shirt. He's still there.
Where?
He's on your left chest. No, he's right in the middle. He's right in the middle.
All right, Cedric, so you want me to start or you want to start?
Let's start off with you.
All right.
Let's go with Age Before Beauty.
Okay, well, you already mentioned one of my shows right there. You'll get that reference later.
Wow.
All right, so I do have notes because I want to make sure I'm concise and to the point and can give you the actors when I want them to. So the first one on my list is called The Ranch. So if you haven't seen The Ranch, this one, when my wife and I were going on vacation, we wanted something we could watch on the planes, and we wanted something shorter than an hour and didn't want to watch a full 2.5-hour movie. So I found this because they were only 30 minutes long episodes, and we really liked it. So we immediately watched it. It has people that were on, if you remember That 70s show. It stars Ashton Kutcher and Danny Masterson. He was the guy that had the fro, and of course we know that Ashton Kutcher is the one that was with Demi Moore for a while. They're in it. There's actually Fez from That 70s show makes a cameo for a couple episodes, which is funny. And then the dad from That 70s show has a couple of scenes in there, a couple episodes. But it's just a great, funny, light comedy. The one who plays the dad is Sam Elliott, who you just saw The Star is Born. Just a great, gravelly voiced actor who's been around for a long time. And then Deborah Winger, that actually plays the mom in it, and from An Officer and a Gentleman way back in the day. She actually still almost looks the same, which is crazy. You want something light, 30 minutes long each episode. It's still going on. I think they're going to have one more season. But binge watch some of The Ranch. I think you'll really enjoy it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
What do you got first up, Cedric?
Well, my first out of my 5, 2 of my movies, or 2 of my series, I should say, involve superheroes, because I'm a superhero nerd.
He is a nerd.
The first one on my list is a series that's called Luke Cage, and he is a Marvel comic hero. Now, I don't know what happened with the money or the funding with this show, but it only lasted 2 seasons. But I loved it. Luke Cage, the actor who plays him, and he's a neighborhood hero. He basically just protects Harlem from all the gangsters and bookies and pushers and pimps. And so he was wrongfully accused of a crime, and in order to get released on parole or something, he had to be subjected to a test of a test that gave him impenetrable skin and super strength. And he uses that, and he did something wrong in the past, so he uses that now to kind of flip the tables and protect the neighborhood that he lives in. And it's really funny. It has some good scenes. There's some love interest in there. So if you're looking for a quick superhero movie that's kind of real, down to earth, kind of gritty, dirty, things like that, I recommend Luke Cage.
And just so you know, we're actually not filming in the morning, even though I said good morning, world. That's why I'm drinking some Jameson, because it's a nice cool evening out here in Corona, California. And for you,
nothing, it's cold.
And for you that don't know about Corona, California, it has nothing to do with the coronavirus.
No, we did not start the virus. It did not originate here.
All right. This one's called You.
Us?
No.
You.
You.
Oh.
You. Not you, but you. So anyways, it's a darker show, but it's kind of a dark show without feeling dark.
A lot of black people in it?
No, it's basically about a good-hearted sociopath or psychopath who falls in love with these girls that he stalks, and ends up having a relationship, and he's such a sweet guy, but he narrates the show and you get to see what's inside of his mind. And it's pretty crazy. The main actor's name, Penn Badgley, plays a great, think of, who was on Leave It to Beaver, his friend that was Eddie Haskell. He's like Eddie Haskell, everything seems good with him, but then you get to see what's going on in his mind. And it's just a great series. If you want something that's dark, it's kind of like a dark, sociopathic romantic comedy, if that makes any sense. It's nutty, but give it a shot. It's still going on. There's been 2 seasons. You can binge watch right through the first 2 seasons, and then you can wait for the next one to come out.
Sounds good. Number 2 on my list, and you're probably thinking, Cedric, how in the heck did you come up with this one? I just thought it was funny. I think it was one day I was kind of like just surfing Netflix, and I said, you know what, I'll check this one out. But it's called Grace and Frankie. And for you boomers out there, it stars 2 iconic actresses by the name of Lily Tomlin and Jane Fonda. And they play 2 polar opposite characters, and you can probably see it.
Characters.
Lily Tomlin plays the eclectic, weird, hippie type of love the earth, tree-hugging type of individual. And Jane Fonda plays the uptight, rigid, no-nonsense businesswoman. And the only reason their paths cross because they're married to their respective mates. But as the show goes on, I think you find on the very first episode of the series, the first season, is that their husbands decide to divorce them because they've fallen in love with each other. So the 2 male leads fall in love with each other.
Kind of like me and you, Cedric.
There's nothing like me and you. Take that out.
Cedric loves me.
But it's funny, and you said something like that platform can lend itself to a lot of comedy. And so they're like, you know what? The girls are like, this is the best we gotta do. We gotta make it work. These guys, they're in love with each other. We gotta support them. And Jane Fonda's character's having a hard time with it. Lily Tomlin's all about free love and everything's right with the world, so all love each other. But it's a funny series. I think you guys should check out Grace and Frankie.
Cool. All right, so we got 2 comedies on there at least, right? All right, good. My next one is on my list is me and my wife. We watched some BBC series that are from BBC to go to Netflix. We've liked them a lot. This one we actually found out of Australia. So this one's called Wentworth, and basically the plot starts out with a woman who's a battered woman by her husband, and she's worried that it's also going to happen to her teenage daughter. So she attempts to murder her husband who's battering her. Then she can't go through with it, and she ends up saving him. But she gets arrested for it because she still had to go to the hospital. So when she gets thrown in this prison called Wentworth, she's only supposed to be in there a short amount of time because the husband was going to help get her out so they could actually take care of their daughter. But while she's in there, things happen, and she ends up having to stay in the prison. So this takes place in a prison in Australia. The characters are fantastic. It's kind of like an Australian version of Orange is the New Black, but I've watched Orange is the New Black. I like this one better. This one, me and my wife have binge watched all the way through, and we're waiting for the next one to come out. So I think they're gonna have another series. So if you do like Orange is the New Black and you want something with a little different twist to it, this is a fantastic show. It's called Wentworth. It's on Netflix, and it's out of Australia.
I'll have to check that out because I did like Orange is the New Black.
Yeah.
I'll have to check that one out.
Yes.
Number 3 on my list, this is the second in my superhero movies. For those you know, I'm more of a Marvel guy, but I do like some DC characters, and my favorite DC character is the Caped Crusader, Batman. But this series is called Gotham. And for those of you who don't know, Gotham is the fictitious city. I think it's very similar to New York, in which that Batman protects. And I went into that show thinking I was going to see another Batman movie, but you don't see Batman at all. What Gotham is, it takes prequels to the nth degree. It goes way, way, way back to when Bruce Wayne was just a young child, and you get to see a lot of the character formation when the characters become who they are. And you've always wondered, well, how did the Riddler become the Riddler? How did the Penguin become the Penguin? Jim Gordon, who is kind of the Lieutenant Gordon, who's Batman's sidekick of the police force, you kind of see him as a young cop and young detective coming up through the ranks, and when there's so much crime and filth and cheating going on, he's trying to be a good cop in a bad cop era, and how he becomes that. And I think there's been, and I may be wrong, I think there's There's 5 seasons, and in the 5th season, the last episode, I think we finally get a glimpse of the Cape Crusader as he stands on top of a building, getting ready to protect the Gotham. But I think it's, like Brian always says, you're looking for character development and wondering how these characters became who they became. If you're a fan of Batman, watch Gotham, and you'll get to see how these characters became who they are.
Cool. You can tell who's the comic book guy. All right, now we're getting into my top 3. And my top 3 are also all historical fiction.
Okay.
And yeah, you've heard on other episodes, I just love historical fiction. So this one's called Peaky fucking Blinders. I did say fucking for you kids out there. I know this one's pretty popular. A lot of people have heard it. If you haven't heard of it, do yourself a favor, watch this series. This is, the cinematography in this show is like watching Braveheart and Titanic and stuff in hour-long snippets of a show. Just the cinematography is that good. It's dark and it's gritty, and it basically takes place, there was a real gypsy gang back in the late 1800s called the Peaky Blinders. This one, they've taken those characters and they've moved it after World War I to fit into the storyline, but they're basically gypsy gangsters. They wear these caps and they would keep razor blades in their caps. And I don't know if they really did that in the real Peaky Blinders, but in the series, they would use those as weapons. But anyways, Thomas Shelby is played by Cillian Murphy. Great character. He's the leader of this Peaky Blinders gang. He has a brother named Arthur, who his character is very dark. He abuses drugs and alcohol, and so Tommy's always trying to keep him in line so he doesn't get killed. And then they have a matriarch of the family. It's kind of like Sons of Anarchy, 100 years ago in England. And then one character that stands out, his name's Alfie Solomon, they call him the Rabbi, played by Tom Hardy. And Tom Hardy, you've seen 100 times and probably don't know it because he's one of those actors who can morph into whatever character. And he's been in things, he played Mad Max in the recent Mad Max. But do yourself a favor, watch Peaky Blinders. It's one of the best Netflix shows out there.
Yeah, I heard you talk a lot about it.
Yeah, great show.
Watch that. Number 4 on my list, Stranger Things. I just jumped right into that because I know a lot of you out there have seen Stranger Things. The reason it appeals to me, give you a quick little synopsis of it, it's set in rural Indiana. And the reason I love this show so much is because although I'm not a boomer, I missed it by just a little bit. It's set in the 80s. And whoever the executive producers were and the creative team were, they really did their homework, they did their research, everything from the clothes, to the cars, to the culture, to the food, to the music.
And the mother is an 80s icon actress, Winona Ryder.
Yes. I did. Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah.
I would have totally blown that if you didn't bring that up. Winona Ryder, you younger kids, you may not know of it. Stranger Things, it just takes you back to the 80s. And there's a lot of, it's also a coming of age movie, very similar to Stand By Me, and some of those movies where you have a bunch of kids from the neighborhood who form this pack and form this friendship, and they're always hanging out together and riding bikes together and going to the fishing hole and riding those little humpy bikes. But there's a lot of paranormal activity. I'm not going to get into a lot of that, but for those of you who are older and you want to see some 80s trivia and some good 80s stuff, I strongly recommend Stranger Things. I think you'll love it.
Cool, yeah. I like Stranger Things too. So. All right, we're back after some technical difficulty. All right. Another one that crocs.
I looked that word up.
Let me wet my thistle.
You wearing some Crocs on your feet?
Another one that cracks my top 3. Another historical fiction called Hell on Wheels. Hell on Wheels takes place after the Civil War and specifically after the assassination of President Lincoln. And the main character, his name is Bohannon, is played by Anson Mount. And he is an ex-Confederate soldier whose wife and child were killed by some Union soldiers, and he is on a quest to go seek revenge for their murders. It all takes place during the Transcontinental Railroad when they're trying to race and they're building from east to west, and then you've got the Pacific Railroad from west to east, and then it meets in like season 3. But the characters, again, character-driven show, absolutely brilliant characters in it. The scenery, the planes, I don't know where they filmed it, but it looks like the plains of the United States back in the late 1800s. The person who becomes his best friend in the series ends up being a freed slave who is played by the rapper Common, who is a fantastic actor. If you haven't seen this show, It's already concluded, so this is when you can binge watch from beginning to end. You'll get the whole series. You don't have to wait for any more coming out. You'll love the characters. You'll recognize a lot of the actors. In fact, one of the guys, he has a short part in it. I recognize his voice from Silence of the Lamb. He's the one who said, "Is she a great big fat person?" Remember that guy? Yeah, you'll recognize his voice, but he's much older and with a great backstory. So yeah, I think you should watch it. I think you'll like it.
Might be a little U.S. history lesson for some of our teacher friends who are trying to teach a little U.S. history. Well, my last show, and I know some of you are probably going to think, like, well, Cedric, why did you pick this show? Because it doesn't seem to fit with anything else with the superheroes or the funny or the humor. I think the reason why I picked this show has a little nostalgia to me because it was my introduction to Netflix. Maybe it was like 6, 7 years ago. I can't remember exactly when. I was going through a little rough spot, and a good friend of mine, Tammy Holden, said, you should check out this show. The show is called Dexter. Very similar to Brian's show, You. It's a sociopath. The character's name is Dexter Morgan, and Dexter is a blood splatter expert for the Miami Police Department. And what that means is he can go into a crime scene and he can tell about how the blood is sprayed on the walls and how it pools on the floor and how it drips down the stairs, exactly how an individual is killed. And how that helps him become a vigilante is that those people who kind of sneak through the cracks of the criminal justice system, he goes out later and extracts his own brand of vigilante justice upon those people. And he takes them to his quote-unquote kill room, and but I don't want to give too much away, but he's very meticulous, he's very devoid of emotion, he has no feelings, very similar to me. No, I'm just kidding. It's good. And again, like I said, it has a little nostalgic for me because it was my first introduction to Netflix and binge watching 6 or 7 years ago. So I fell in love with it. And very similar to Brian's last movie, Hell on Wheels. It's all completed. All the series are done. So if you want to sit down and just binge watch a good show, I recommend Dexter.
Nice. And then the last one is the one that, just like Braveheart was our movie that we had together on our list. This one, if you've watched the episode a couple weeks ago, it's Outlander, another historical fiction, but with a twist. This one has an element that I thought I wouldn't like. So Cedric likes the science fiction and the comic book stuff and the supernatural. So this one has an element of that, so I almost didn't watch it. And Cedric goes, just give it a shot. We were hooked, we were in. I mean, it's a fantastic show. It's got everything, right, Cedric? It's got the battle war scenes of a Braveheart and the Gladiator and that macho guy that's just, like you said on the other episode, he's one of those guys that the women love him and the guys want to be him. And then there's just probably one of the best love stories that you probably will find on Netflix. And make sure you that are watching it, it's an adult show because there's a little 50 Shades of Grey going on in it in certain parts. Not quite that bad.
Call it gratuitous.
It's not gratuitous. It's actually done very well, but it's definitely not for kids.
It's graphic, but it's not gratuitous.
Yeah, they're fantastic scenes actually because they're done really well. And this show is just really good. Cedric, give them a little bit more information out while I make sure the cat goes back in the house.
The thing that I say now, you guys can't see this, but the cat is in the background. It's going to escape. And I don't want to take some Benadryl later. But anything I can say more about Outlander that Brian has to say will be superfluous and unnecessary. But I fell in love with the show.
Yeah, what you have to do with a lot of these shows, like with Peaky Blinders, with even Hell on Wheels and then Outlander, for all these shows that we're mentioning, give them 3, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Give them 3. Give three of the episodes a try. And if you don't like it after that, it's not for you. But I'm telling you, after the 3rd one, you will be hooked.
Yeah.
I believe you'll be hooked. I was hooked.
I was surprised. I think I was a good, maybe 3 seasons ahead of Brian and his wife, and they passed me up. It's like, why haven't you caught up yet? I'm like, I said, don't you go to work? Why haven't you watched all this yet?
But, my goodness.
But that's it for me and Brian and our top 11 Netflix shows. And what we want you guys to do is leave in the comment section in YouTube. We're getting a lot of great comments from everyone. You guys are being very active. We appreciate that. But leave in the comment section what your favorite Netflix shows, why you're binge watching them, what attracted you to them, and maybe that'll give some of our other viewers an idea of shows they can watch during this time of quarantine and if you COVID-19.
And if you have watched any of these shows that we mentioned and you like them, put that in the comments too for other people to read. And if you haven't watched them, because I know a lot of people had never heard of Hell on Wheels, and I'm so happy that a guy told me about it because it's a great show. So give these a shot. Give them 3.
Yes.
And then let us know what you think.
Yes. And just a little public service announcement. Yeah, during this time of COVID-19, we're all challenged to stay inside. Don't fry your brain. You know, just watch your movies, watch your Netflix shows, but get outside, get some fresh air, exercise. If you guys haven't seen it, watch some of our exercise videos. Brian does a great job of taking you through some core exercises. I think you guys will love it. But give Netflix a chance. Give these shows a chance. I think you guys will love it.
And once again, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring that bell.
Exactly. You got to do that. But until next time, appreciate you guys. Appreciate your support. I'm Cedric.
And I'm Brian. See you later.